Bro, of course I'm gonna play Pleiades, you know. You get instant auras that block 3 or 2, but bear in mind, there's a lot of testing to do. So take this as a direction rather than the end goal and the perfection, okay? And she's like very consistent mid-range type of like tempo here as well. Kind of like Auxilio, but in a sense, she's like a lot more resilient and has like very even feel, I feel. There's not like many truly bad matchups, or if any, and like truly phase roll matchups. She's just, you know, Guardian all around, but probably the best Guardian. Basically, the way Pleiades plays is that you play auras, you do setup into bigger attack, and you have stuff that replace the auras, right? You have stuff that replace your attacks, and then there is this. So mulliganing my hand because Turning Point is not doing anything. Most likely my opponent swings 1 card at me, so then it's just block 2. And I get Boulder Drop for Iron Fist of Revelation in my arsenal. Roll Scabs for extra 3 damage. Unlucky. So we just block 8 and flip. Now, these cards don't really convert in my hand properly, so that's why I'm blocking like this. But firstly, you should take a little bit of damage to be under the HP threshold of your opponent because of your cheer cards, and yeah, basically just cheer cards. So you then like, if you're like 5 HP down to your opponent, that's like the comfort zone, right? Now I could play out what happens next, and then Oasis Respite for free, but then you do 2 card 5 and lose a counter on what happens next, rather than playing that on your next turn and arsenaling the Oasis Respite. So I think I'm looking to block with Cries here and send off of Macho my arsenal card, and then play what happens next. You can also like bait Pummel like this for their Scalding. So we just take billion damage. That's fine. Kayo is pretty scary. And I've used Kayo as my litmus opponent pretty much. So we sent the Boulder Drop. I think I should have blocked actually with Iron Fists, but I think I forgot. Would have gotten +1 there. Now my opponent passes, which is a little bit unfortunate because my hand wanted to block. I'm just thinking about if I could use Imposing Visage, which I can, and then we just sent the Comeback Kit for 9. Now instead of grabbing, I love Imposing by the way, but instead of grabbing another what happens next, I only need 1 right now because 1 staunch went to bottom. So I'm just like, you know, I feel like I get more value out of the +1 aura rather than having so many resources floating around. So this presents nothing too crazy. I'm thinking I don't need to pop balance here, but I don't have anything really to swing back. Just block 6 and move on. And they probably will cast another Bloodrush Bellow, or do like a Pulping in the Wild Ride, random discard draws where I can use Balance of Justice better. So now I just take 2, swing Hammer. Of course, transfer the counter to what happens next to keep it alive for my Oasis. If I did not have Oasis in my arsenal, I would keep the suspense out rather than what happens next, because it's +1 damage to Titan's Fist, of course. But now I get to do 3 ones here. And my hand blocks a bit poorly. And I don't want to play up on the pedestal to the field. So we use the 3 Oasis here and get all the benefits of it. So essentially, block 5 from arsenal. Pretty nice. Show Strength. transferring over the +1 value, because like rather than blocking 2, I can block 6 next turn and just understand what happens next. And here they go with Blood Rush Bellow. So we bridge very nicely the value that would be worse last turn to next turn, and now pop the Balance of Justice. This Buckwild card, bro, is so broken. The Buckwild is so broken. So I think I should block with Palm here and just send 7. But I'm thinking of using it on my turn because I get Tunic counter. But let's see if drawing on my own turn actually converts to anything. Like I said, it probably won't. And then I'm stuck with like extra blue. We are forking the pummel here. Doing reactions? No. Mental damage would be in reactions. I draw perfectly, of course. And then we transfer the counter to what happens next, so I can have Palm to be bopped for next turn. Play out Hunger for More for free. And now they pop Shash. Go pulping, and we can just completely stop the pulping. Crazy stuff. Don't need to pop the Palm. So now the Palm is a little bit wasted here. That draw was quite awkward. I should have just kept my hand with the blues and used the Imposing Visage to tutor, or actually I'll just send the Cranial Crush for 8, right? And then they have to block because they can't do any. Yeah, Cranial Crush for 8 would have been the best play, because then they can't like random discard draw. They have to block. So this is a pretty big mistake from my part. It's playing up tension and this. It's still same 8 value, kind of, right? But now I'm facing their full hand rather than putting them in the position to block, which is all in all worse, I think. We put back the 2 block and turn the 2 block into 5 block. Pretty nice. Also, one thing that is like very important too with the Hunger for More is to manage your life. Just don't go too hastily popping it, because you might turn off cheer, which is not very desirable. So always the Pleiades ability, as with Auxilia ability, should be used as last as it can be used, right? But I think my opponent still has like 1 BRB in the tank, and we are doing pretty good right now. 17 to 13. I have a good block 5 in the hand, and I'm looking to send the Debilitate for quite a lot, because tension in the air is popping. So we might be able to grab back the game a bit. Rampart has not been doing anything at all this game, by the way, but maybe I've missed like many times where I could have used it. And now there's Debilitate coming for 12. That is pretty sick. If I had Tunic counter last turn, this could have come for 16, and I take 3 damage more. Which is like, using the tension for 4 rather than 3 is of course better. But this is like the quote unquote pivot here. So they're doing like nice turn. So now my opponent is forced to pass. Now I'm forced to convert this. And it's a little bit unfortunate hand, but I have Tunic and I want Staunch response in my arsenal. So we just sent the Standing Ovation for 8. It's vanilla damage. Opponent can go to whatever, but they block with their Scab Skin because the read is Pummel, right? So that would come for 12. If they don't block with Scabs, they die. Blocking 3, I would like to send the... Oh, yeah. That hand opponent kind of sucked. Should have blocked more, I guess, last turn. But now we sent the comeback kid. We did not really get to use Staunch, so now maybe Rampart is usable next turn because I have to pitch. So then you actually, with Rampart and Staunch, you actually block 8 off of like 1 blue, so it's like 2 card 8. Which is really good, but it's a little bit worse than doing 1 card 7. I'm just saying. And they threw 6 again. Yeah. But I have confidence, so I do want to send the Cries of Encore if I can. But if my opponent sends, because it's BRB, it's a bit too much, which is unfortunate. But I do want to fist for 4 because they need to block with 2 cards. But if they did not... Oh, wait, did it matter at all? I guess they can do the turn the other way around. But like if I can send Cries of Encore of confidence, I win the game on the spot. But the spot is like really good still. My opponent gets 2 vigor from clashes. The 8s did not help here at all. Well, it's math, but it is math. It's just does not always line up. Now, of course, like here again, I'm looking at I want to swing Combat Kit if I can. But it's facing exact lethal. So swinging fist for 4. For 3. I would keep this blue if the fist went for 4, but it goes for 3, which is unlucky. So we just put the Combat Kit in the arsenal and hopefully have next turn. Ask them to convert. And we can, from what happens next, we can pitch that for stance response and run part to block 8 again. But these mites are like really annoying. Go to 1. And if my opponent swings for 9, they can't swing for 9. But what they can do is, oh yeah, they missed the go again. What they can do is swing Reckless Stampede. So then we clash. But fortunately, the Staunch stuffs this up really well. So now we can send the Combat Kit. Unfortunately, it's not for 8, but coming for 7 or 8 is when your opponent's 1 HP is same thing, really. And now it comes for 4 again, which is unfortunate. There is a nice thing with up on the pedestal, by the way, that if you're blocking Reckless Stampede, you can pop it or play it to fetch a 8 power thing on top of your deck to win the clash. But hammering for 4 when your opponent's at 1 is pretty good. It's really good. That's on hit death. That breakpoint matters. But we tutor 1 card on top of our deck. Now tutoring for another one. An attack I might be able to swing with. So we could use Imposing Visage here, but also like it's the same thing than swinging Cranial Crush. So just do this for 8. And opponent had 2 pearls. So 13 value, 0.25 in how many turns we played? 17 turns. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So yeah, I think this hero is pretty good. She's like low A tier probably. It's like very mid tier hero, but has a good game into the field entirely. The allies can be a little rough, of course, because we are Guardian, we'll like go again, but you know, you win some, you lose some. Hey, but I love her, and I think you should too. If you like Auxilia, you probably like Pleiades as well. So try her hard. By the way, her armory deck is actually so stacked. Just get the armory deck. That will get you started 100%. You get a good armory deck from that. The gameplay loop is, in a perfect world, you play what happens next out, and after that, you each turn or B turn play out an aura that is discounted to the field, like this, as off of 1 blue, and then you use her hero ability that says you remove a suspense counter. This is a cost. This cannot be responded to. So if your opponent wanted to scour the thing that you would remove the aura from, they can't do that. It's a cost. And then you may put a suspense counter on an aura of suspense you control. A lot of the times though, like these auras, besides like the auras that pump, using these auras on your own turn, drawing random cards in a Guardian, it can be a little iffy, but like I've tried to make the list in a way where it kind of like converts on your own turn as well, as much as it can. But like, yeah, these 8 costs are just good into Kayo, and they swing big as well, right? Because they clash a lot. So everything that clashes, the 8s are really good. You know, keep playing good values, right? And the interesting thing with her is that you have a lot of choices. Like, she's not easy deck to play. So you have a choice to block 3 on your tome, or block 6 with like this and like whatever blue. But if you need to find a pivot turn to grab the tempo, if you have a good lineup, say like with a boulder trap, or you have like CNC pummel, you can just tank the damage and play out the things to actually reverse the game and pivot. She's like extremely good at handling tempo and finding the pivot turns. Generally, the games go where you first want to tank down the damage, tank up the damage, and go down with your HP just to get like all your cheer turns online, the cheer effects, right? Because you need to have less of HP than your opponent. If you're not less HP than your opponent, then you have like a lot less good numbers, right? She plays like good average numbers, but once you are down life from your opponent, and especially if you have what happens next, you do go up to like 15 to 16ish with your average points of value per turn, which is really awesome. We can go through these cards real quick. So we got best new boots, toughness. If your opponent is not presenting anything meaningful, you have extra blue floating around in your hand that you need to convert. Toughness is very good. You can pay here. Same with this. Rampart is the same thing with the floating resources, but this is in the testing. I feel like Temper 2 Shield right now is better, but I'll keep testing that. As I said, the best tunic user in the game, it's no in Classic Constructed. It's no debate to run anything else but tunic. That much is true. Iron Fist of Revelation, I do like these over Iron Grasps and the AD arms, attention grabbers, because this is only like it lines up good with in the palm of your hand. But Iron Fist Revelations, putting Boulder Drop to 8, then you can do like these. Any crushes +1, because you do want to arsenal your attacks. But like, yeah, the arsenal slot is flexible, but a lot of times there's good to be an attack. Just because there is not that plenty of attacks, because like over half of these are blues. So you got 9, 12 attacks. So arsenaling 1 and finding just ways to block and play is very good with Iron Fist of Revelations. But also like Guardians that use the arsenal slot as much as say Osoleo would use. So that's that. Tiara of Suspense, I think Crown of Providence is better as of now, but I'm just testing this. It's fine to extend the life cycle of what happens next into very fast matchups where you cannot play auras that extend themselves the lifetime of what happens next. And then Titan's Fist, of course. Moment Maker I do have in my inventory, because this weapon is very good into slower matchups where you are actually like allowed to play these 2-block auras out on the field. So you can have like the 3 thresholds, and you can actually play Standing Ovation. Standing Ovation, if you're the one getting pressured down, you're never playing these things out. You just play for value, block for good, and she does that extremely well, which is like really nice. Boulder Drop is like the best attack in the deck, because it's just, your opponent can't block this with 1 card. It's pretty crazy as a red, actually, because it's just the break point for 1 card hand, so it has to be blocked with 2 cards, or a card and equipment. but still, 1 card is not enough. This is 3 card 8 and making confidence token, and the confidence is really broken. It reads start of your turn. That's not the important part. It reads can't be defended by more than 2 non-block cards, which means cards are also opponent's equipments. So it has to be exactly 2 cards. So then it starts making your 7s that have on hit that is non-crush go through. Or if you have pumped boulder drop for like 13 off of this, yeah. Good luck, buddy. So that's like really good. And also like it pushes damage through against these heavy blocking decks like Earth Heroes, right? CNC off of Tunic, do I need to say anything else? It's also just, CNC pummel, pretty good. Cries of Encore, it's a 2 card 7, but also when you are preferably down in life, when you start to pair that thing, when this is in the field, you swing Cries of Encore, you pair it with this card that is in your graveyard, you swing this, pitching 2, have 1 floating, and then it has like confidence under it, an opponent blocks for 6, it hits for 1, and then you play out this. You just get 2 card 10, which is actually better because you get to transfer the suspense counter on what happens next. And you can basically like loop that and make another confidence token. But also like in your slower matchups, Cries of Encore starts to do like really well with up on a pedestal, and you start like looping these cards to combat the fatigue. So amazing toolbox attack. This card, yeah, it might be the best card in the deck. You just play like this off of Tunic, because the thing is like it helps you convert the hands, but it also like puts you in like a trap position where you like want to always draw a card, but drawing cards on your turn is like generally not very awesome. So like if you get to arsenal this, it's basically like a better D-reactive blocks a little less, but you convert this like if you have what happens next. In your field, off of Tunic, you play in the palm of your hand from your arsenal, so you get the free draw. So you get the block in your arsenal, just find more cards, see more cardboard, and decide what cards are good to play in your turn, which is like really awesome. And then, that's not even the best part. It draws again when it leaves. So when you play this normally on your turn, and you activate Pleiades hero ability to transfer the counter to something else, or just to take it off, now you untap your hero in the end step. So now it's your opponent's turn. If you need to draw, which usually you do, you want to block a little bit more, you want to block 3, you want to find the blue, you want to find anything that swings on your turn, you tap your hero again, and now you draw. That's pretty freaking awesome. Same thing with like Tension in the air. It's also a 2 cost, so it curves the same way than the palm of your hand, and also they combo together. What happens next? Because the first one costs 1, the second one costs 2. So you can play 2 of these out, you can play 2 of these out, you can play 1 this, 1 this. You know, like 2 costs start to be really good. So that's cool. And also like it's a breakpoint pump. So this is just very good card that also like blocks 3. It's one of my favorites in the deck. I really adore in this deck 2 costs and 4 costs. Then we just have these 8 attacks, right, to clash. Standing Ovation, I mentioned before. Same with Digging. Imposing Visage. Having 6, what happens next is pretty good. It's a 3 block blue that also makes Titan's Fist go for 4. But the thing is, like the best part of this card, I think, is that what happens like relatively often for me, like slower matchups, of course. In your faster matchups, if it's not casted outside of turn 0, otherwise it just blocks 3 or swings for 4 with Titan's Fist. But when you swing, you have Act of Glory popping, you go Boulder Drop for 13, pummeled. Your opponent blocks their entire hand, loses their entire hand, right? That happens. So then they pass to you, and now you face 4 or 5 cards on your end, which is typically a little bit of an issue for a Guardian. Now you use Imposing Visage. I've grabbed fair many times Act of Glory or just what happens next, or suspense is killing me, or up on the pedestal. Anything you tutor out of the deck, you convert your hand and smooth out the turn really well. Same with Tears Under, it just helps you close out games and also convert your hand. Superstar is interesting card because it's firstly blue block trade, nice. But the cheer, sometimes you do need the cheer. It also helps to convert the hand, like all these auras do, right? But you can double cheer. So when you play this out, say on your opponent's turn for free off of what happens next, if you don't need to block 3 or use it for anything else, you get the confidence token for your turn because this pops at the start of turn. So then this takes down to 1. Now you have confidence token to use, and then on next turn it pops itself, or you can force pop it to either you get the confidence token for your next turn as well, or the turn after. I like it as a one-off because it's just I'm never really casting these faster games, and I don't feel like I've yet to feel like I need more than 1 in slower games. But Thunder Quick, just this blocks for 5. Blue that blocks for 5 and cheers. It's crazy. Debilitated I like because it's a 4-cost attack, right? Battering the Bull, this is our sideboard option. Into, like Grave, you can break Compass. Act of Glory, I bring in anything but fast matchups, like super fast matchups, because then you can start actually you have time to develop this. Oasis Respite for free is good. Pummel, All-Star, Sink Below, All-Star, of course. Staunch Response, extremely good with what happens next. And imagine you have these two of these in the field because they stack. Or three. I'm just saying. Thespian Charm, I'm a big fan of this card because it's sort of like her Blast to Oblivion in a way, where you just get to replay your cards, so you combat fatigue a little bit this way as well. I don't bring it in faster matchups because it's a no block, and popping these cards just to trade a card out of your hand is not nothing too awesome. But when you play slower matchups and you have Act of Glory on your field, you can bounce it back to your hand and it triggers because it's leaving the arena. Then you can swing an attack and arsenal the Act of Glory for next turn, so you can keep chaining the pumps. So it's really cool. And there's of course tricks, as I said, double spelling off of blue when what happens next is on the field when you have 2-cost auras. With this, it's really cool. Balance of Justice, Auxilio, hello. Kayo, hello. Oh, this is what we're doing with Kayo, by the way. I guess we just let him go. Does Cloud goes? Maybe they are a clause to RKO. Who knows? We'll see. AB3 is pretty good. We get to run AB3. And imagine fighting Auxilio when you have Balance of Justice and AB3. Oh boy. Take a bullet, drop pummeled, buddy.